Hi, David Liew from Melbourne, Australia, reporting on ACR 2024, and really just to talk to you about JAK inhibitors and where the future lies. And my premise to you today is that actually, while JAK inhibitors were first developed in rheumatoid arthritis, and that's where the majority of the use is, and the majority of the use, apart from rheumatoid arthritis, is inflammatory arthritis, the real value is going to be in other diseases. In diseases where there's great need at the moment, because we've got lots of options in rheumatoid arthritis, we've got lots of options in PSA, we've got lots of options in AxSpA. It's a crowded market. And as much as the JAK inhibitors have advantages there, and they're good drugs there, a lot of the benefits are going to come in places where we're really struggling for options. And so I'm picking out a case series today to talk about. And I think it just really gives an example of the kind of benefit and what we might need to do to get to the point where we see true benefit in the clinic. So this is a case series from Beijing in China of 8 patients who have had Upadacitinib for Behçet's disease. And the long and the short of it is they had Behçet's as open label for 12 weeks. It worked really well. The Behçet's disease activity score dropped down, steroids are able to be weaned. It's all open label, so there's all the caveats around that, but it was really well tolerated and it worked really well. And there are good reasons why it might work in Behçet's disease. A lot of the same pathways are pathways that are relevant to JAK1. Now, you might say, this is a case series. Since when do we talk about case series on Room now? I think it gives us a bit of an illustration as to where things might go. Behçet's disease is a classic example of a disease which we've really underserved in terms of therapies before and in terms of clinical trials. We haven't had good options. We've tried to co-opt therapies from other diseases like rheumatoid arthritis, taking methotrexate, say, from rheumatoid arthritis, and trying to fit a square peg in a round hole when it comes to Behçet's disease. And it works okay. TNF inhibitors, there's clearly some role for benefit there. But we're really lacking a lot of good options in Behçet's disease, and patients do suffer as a consequence. Something like Behçet's disease is a classic candidate for JAK inhibitors. And we've seen that. We've seen previously, there have been some reports about, once again, case series, but tofacitinib in Behçet's disease, baricitinib in Behçet's disease. We need to do a bit better to be able to get structured investigation of JAK inhibitors in diseases where JAK inhibitors are needed, less common diseases perhaps, or perhaps just generally historically underserved diseases, so that we've got good options there. And that's going to become easier once we look at things like tofacitinib coming off patent. Because when we're able to churn out generic tofacitinib at low cost and the cost starts to plummet, then we can start doing investigator-initiated studies or thinking about clever ways in which we can look at the impact of these therapies and these diseases, trying to document that better, and then really giving these patients options. And the fact is as well is that all the questions that come about because of oral surveillance, comparing TNF inhibitors versus JAK inhibitors in rheumatoid arthritis, all become much more distant questions when you're making a different comparison, like higher dose steroids versus upadacitinib in Behçet's disease, which is a very different story. So I hope that we can do better from that, and I hope that in iterations of ACR to come, that we'll look at JAK inhibitors for diseases that need it. So for plenty more on JAK inhibitors and everything else ACR, you know where to go, roomnow.com.